Welcome to another episode of The Dissection. The Democratic Alliance is calling for the minister in the presidency, Khumbudzo Ntshavheni, to step down after allegations of corruption around her time as municipal manager in Phalaborwa municipality have emerged. This is what the Democratic Alliance is saying currently about Minister Khumbudzo Ntshavheni and all of the reporting around it, because there have been a lot of articles in the last 3 to 5 days around the issues that pertain to her time as municipal manager. Here's what the Democratic Alliance is saying.
The Democratic Alliance has today written to President Cyril Ramaphosa for swift action against the minister in the presidency, Khumbudzo Ntshavheni, who is awaiting a decision on prosecution by the National Prosecuting Authority. Ntshavheni was under investigation by the Hawks from 2021, and her case now sits with the NPA, and we call on the NPA not to sit on its hands. We insist the president heed the remark of Judge Muller surrounding the repugnant and devastating 2.5 million rand tender in Ba Phalaborwa while Ntshavheni was municipal manager. Mr. President, South Africans deserve better than the growing list of crooks in your cabinet. Do better.
Minister Khumbudzo Ntshavheni is a very senior minister, and she has been entrusted by the president in a variety of important roles. She's a senior minister in the presidency. She's currently overseeing the State Security Agency. She's overseeing all government communications which go through the GCIS system. She's overseeing Statistics South Africa, and these are responsibilities that she's been holding since March of 2023. Prior to that, she was Minister of Communications, which is a very important portfolio as well. And she is reported to be one of the most trusted allies of the president. So these allegations are serious, and this moment for her is a serious moment. She found herself in controversy, though, recently because of the comments that she made in respect to the Stilfontein miners matter. If you recall, there was an issue with the Zama miners, the artisanal miners, the illegal miners, whichever phase you prefer. She called for those miners to be smoked out, and that elicited a lot of concern from the public around the manner which she spoke as a government official, from human rights activists, from lawyers, from constitutional lawyers as well, around some of the issues that seemed to be implied by what she was suggesting. This is what she said, and I think this is what got her into hot water really, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. Here's what she said.
We're not sending help to criminals. We're going to smoke them out. They will come out. We're not sending help to criminals. Criminals are not to be helped. Criminals are to be persecuted. We didn't send them there. And they didn't go down there for the good benefit or good intentions of the Republic. So we can't help them. Those who want to help them, they must go and take the food down there. They will come out. We'll arrest them.
Since she uttered those remarks, there have been developments in this particular matter, the Stilfontein miners matter. Over the last few weeks, lawyers and human rights organizations have been raising the issue of the mine, the issue of the standoff between the miners and the police. This story has made it to international publications, and there are actually reports that the number of miners who passed away underground during the period of the standoff has been 78 miners, maybe even more. Some of these miners were being forced to participate in this mining activity, and there were reports that even children were underground being forced to participate in this mining. So as bodies have been retrieved, 78 bodies have been retrieved. And we know this number of 78 miners having passed away underground because of the rescue mission which ensued. A few weeks ago, on the 11th of January, the High Court in Pretoria ordered the immediate rescue of the miners who were trapped in shafts 10 and 11 of the Ba Phalaborwa gold mine in Stilfontein in the Northwest Province. In addition to what we know about the miners who passed away, there has been an additional scandal about this issue, and that scandal pertains to the ringleader of the miners and the enforcer who was operating underground, who may have contributed to atrocities being committed underground. This individual was arrested, but has now apparently escaped from police cells. Just escaped. Nobody can explain. And it does seem as if powerful people in the mining industry and in the world of politics may be affected by this matter. And this is why this particular enforcer and individual, had to be spirited away, so to speak. Because let's be honest, let's be candid. No one just escapes from jail cells so easily. And particularly in such a heated and high profile matter. It does seem as if this mining scandal, which seemed to just be about the miners, the mine not, properly closing down the shaft, etc., may actually involve very powerful people. But we don't know enough about that. What we do know is that the timing of the recent stories and the recent developments and the timing of the story right now cannot be ignored. There seems to be some kind of a synchronicity or alignment which we can't ignore. So what I'm trying to say when I say what I've said now is that in November, the minister made the statements that she made. And now, 2 weeks after the rescue operation was ordered by the courts and lawyers started being vocal, we are now hearing about the Phalaborwa municipality issues from 2009. What I'm trying to say is that it seems as if the mining dispute has placed her in the hot seat and that she may have lost some protection. That's what it seems like at face value. So what is the accusation? What is she being accused of? So what you need to know is the following. Ba Phalaborwa municipality is situated in the northeastern part of South Africa, in the Mopani district of the Limpopo province. It is one of the 5 local municipalities in the Mopani district. It has a population of about 150,000 people. According to its own municipal website, it has 41,115 households, and the major towns in the Ba Phalaborwa municipality are Phalaborwa, Namagale, Lulekani, and Gravelot. Those are the major towns. In the year 2009, Khumbudzo Ntshavheni, who is currently the minister in the presidency, was the municipal manager of the Ba Phalaborwa municipality. And she made a decision which has effectively followed her into 2025 and may lead to her political fortunes having a major reversal. There was a major court judgment which was issued in 2020 by the Polokwane High Court, and it dealt with the events of 2009 and the awarding of a tender to an accounting firm, Magwande Chartered Accountants. In June of 2009, the municipality advertised a tender for generally recognized accounting practices and preparation for the 2008-2009 annual financial statements. Often municipalities hire outside firms to help them with this. The closing date was the 30th of June 2009 at 10 a.m. 5 firms submitted bids in a locked box, which had to be opened by the accounting officers to discuss the bids. The company that was awarded the tender did not submit a bid. It was not in the box. And the person who communicated that the company had won the bid and the person who had the powers to award that particular tender was the municipal manager, Khumbudzo Ntshavheni. The tender-winning company inflated their costs after they had won the bid from 584,000 rands to 2.2 million. They were only paid about 200,000 at the time. But what seems to have caused all of the controversy and disputes and how this particular issue ended up in courts is that the municipality was not willing to pay them more money and definitely not willing to pay them the 2.2 million. So at some point, the municipality ended up taking the issue itself to the courts, because what they said is that, no, you got this tender through the back door. We're not going to pay you. This tender was unlawful. It was corrupt. The municipality won the case. So in fact, if monies had been paid, if all of the commitments which had been entered into were followed through by all of the parties, the, municipal manager, the municipality, the accounting firm, we never would have heard about this. We never would have known. But there was a dispute. There were some egos probably which clashed. People said, we're going to court. And someone said, no, but your tender is not legitimate, my friend. And they're like, no, the court will give us our money. You owe us 2.2 million. And this is how we got to this particular moment. In respect to the awarding of the bid, the judge was very scathing. And at paragraph 45 of the judgment, this is what he had to say about the matter. He said, "It's clear that various provisions of the Municipal Finance Management Act had been contravened by officials of the applicant being the municipality in this instance. It will be surprising to learn that steps had been taken against any of those officials. It leaves the distinct impression, if no steps were taken, that officials are being protected to the detriment of the public." At paragraph 48 of the 2020 judgment, the judge says he would refer the matter to the Deputy Director of Public Prosecutions, Baloora, to consider the institution of prosecution. In 2022, another judgment as well made similar findings, and this is what escalated even the volume around the unlawfulness of the tender and any of the people implicated in that having to face some kind of investigation and prosecutions. Now, in 2025, according to several media reports, the Hawks have finalized the investigation into Khumbudzo Ntshavheni over fraud and corruption related to that municipal tender, which is worth 2.5 million. Apparently, the Hawks have investigated the irregular awarding of this contract. And on Friday, the Hawks spokesperson, Colonel Katlego Mogale, confirmed to News 24, not 2024, sorry, that the Priority Crimes Unit had completed its investigations and that the docket is now with the NPA. What was said is that the investigation was finalized and sent to the Deputy Director of Public Prosecutions for a prosecution decision. So what you need to know is that the Public Finance Management Act vests accountability of public finances with the accounting authority. In this case, and at that time, Khumbudzo Ntshavheni was the only official at the municipality authorized by law to award contracts. So the investigation into Ntshavheni and the audit firm was launched, as I said earlier, because of those two judgments and the remarks that were made by Judge Mala in 2020, and also after a separate Polokwane High Court judgment, which was delivered in 2022 by the full bench that included the Deputy Judge President Motsaro Semenya, which found that the service provider did not submit its bid before the 10 a.m. deadline on the 30th of June 2009, but was given the contract nonetheless. Both of the judgments found that after the tender was awarded, the scope of Magwande's contract was extended in a problematic manner, resulting in the price which was owed to the company ballooning to more than 2.3 million, while only 268,000 was paid for the work, right? So what is being alleged is that Ntshavheni allegedly negotiated a price increase with the company, even though its bid documents weren't submitted. What is being alleged is that she knew that the firm did not submit the bid documents on time, but awarded the contract anyway. This is what was said in the Mala judgment, and this is what seems to have brought us all to this particular moment. So it is what it is, and we have to be aware. Khumbudzo Ntshavheni has been a big part of Ramaphosa's rise to power. In fact, she was one of the people who was mentioned in the CR17 donations issue. Remember, there were allegations made by the Zuma camp that votes were bought at the conference, that money was taken from big donors, that up to R1 billion, etc., etc. And she was asked about this by SABC, and Stephen Grootes was at SABC at the time, and this is what she said at the time around that. Just important information for you to understand how she got to be so close to the presidency, how she got to be so powerful and influential in the presidency. It's because she had a role in the ascendancy of the president to this particular position. So here's what she said about the CR17 donations.
Khumbudzo Ntshavheni reacting to reports that she allegedly misappropriated funds meant for President Cyril Ramaphosa's CR17 campaign for the ANC leadership. I'm pleased to tell you the Minister of Small Business Development, Khumbudzo Ntshavheni, on the line for you now. Minister, good evening. Thank you for your time tonight. What is your response to these claims in the Sunday Independent yesterday?
I've run the campaign and I started the CR17 campaign in Limpopo when it was difficult. In 2016 already, I was mobilizing comrades to support the then Deputy President to become a candidate. When himself was reluctant to stand, we were engaging with him to pursue him to stand. And in 2017 early, when he has decided he's standing and we had to work with comrades, people were not around. And it was very few people who were willing to support him because they were not supporting him for personal gain. They were not supporting him because they wanted anything in return. They were supporting him because they believed that his leadership will deliver this country from the direction it was taking. And those people that today accused of squandering money and the money not reaching branches, we had a delegate assembly, not one, a number of them, and we interacted with branch delegates and branch chairpersons and secretaries of the branches, and they told us they received the money and to support them for their airtime. Some branches went in twice. They support them for petrol when they had to help people to go to the meeting or take them home after the meeting finished late. And sometimes the meeting took longer and they had to add food so that people don't leave, because you needed quorum and presence of comrades in those meetings.
Minister, if I may, we've given you some time to respond. May I ask, do you not dispute then, so you don't dispute that the sum of 5 million rand was paid into your account by the CR17 account?
I do dispute that. There has been money paid into the account. I don't know how much money was paid. I've not started and done the reconciliation, but those statements that are there are not even accurate. Today, somebody in social media is circulating that I got the business that I was running got 7 million rands for the campaign. The other one said I've got 2 million rands. So I cannot verify.
I'm sorry, but if it's your bank account, surely you have access to it and you can do a reconciliation. I mean, it would be important to know if all the money was accounted for properly, surely.
No, it is not my personal bank account. It was a personal account.
Right. So, Minister, you won't say how much money it didn't come through your personal account. That's new to me. Just to be clear, and just for the record, because there's been a lot of talk and a lot of speculation, was any of the money used to buy delegates' votes, or was it just used for campaigning?
No, the CR17 money was used for campaigning. The money that we used the money, will give people money for airtime, and there was no money used to buy delegates. We had that other people bought delegates to vote for them. We never paid money to a delegate to vote our way. That is the reason I did not make it to the NEC. I was a candidate. If I was a candidate and we could buy delegates, why couldn't I buy delegates for myself and those other coordinators who were also candidates on the list?
Minister, thank you very much indeed for your time.
So that's how she fits into the presidential picture and the rise of Cyril Ramaphosa. So there's more that is being reported than just the issue of the docket, which is what shows that maybe there's really a push somewhere for her to step aside, step down, whatever the case may be. And what is also being reported at this present moment is the comments which were made by the Auditor General. The Office of the Auditor General, in its report into the Ba Phalaborwa's 2008-2009 financial year, painted a bleak picture of Ntshavheni's leadership of the municipality, contending that the municipal manager did not take reasonable steps to ensure the following, that full and proper record of the financial municipality is kept. Right? That's scathing. The report added that Ntshavheni did not take steps to prevent unauthorized, irregular, fruitless and wasteful expenditure, which totaled nearly 25 million rands, and did not disclose these figures, including 468,000 rands the municipality lost after employees misappropriated money that was received from consumers for prepaid electricity. The Auditor General stated that the municipality could not provide evidence or explain how it arrived to the 53 million of bad debts due to it. What the Auditor General said is that my alternative audit procedures revealed that the provision for bad debt should be 100 million rands. As a consequence, the provision for bad debt and expenditure are understated by 47.1 million in the annual financial statements, according to the Auditor General. And this highlighted, according to the Auditor General, the municipal manager's poor financial governance. This is what is being reported in Daily Maverick. This is what is being reported in News 24. This is now being covered on a variety of platforms. The minister is definitely in the hot seat. Now, I want to give you some of my thoughts about this whole situation and saga. Up until this point, I've just been giving you the flow to get you to a point where we can have a conversation and think through what this means. So these are my thoughts. You tell me what you think. Don't go on Twitter and complain that I had thoughts and that those thoughts were not what you read on Wikipedia or in The Guardian. I think as well. I read, I think about stuff, I process my thoughts, then I present them to you, and then we have a reasoning together. That's why the show is called The Dissection. We break the stuff up into pieces, have a conversation, okay? So here are my thoughts. Firstly, I think that there's an issue with the NPA and the way people get charged. From the year 2020 up until 2025, there was very little movement on this matter. Only now there seems to have been a loss of favor. Does it seem that there is a move to charge the minister? And we'll see whether or not there's a charge. But if the Hawks are saying that the docket is now with the NPA, that means that there's movement, right? But this is just like, what is going on? Are people getting charged because of loss of political favor, because of factional issues, or are they being charged in the interest of rule of law, equality, and, just upholding the rules, right? The developments and the gap here, I think it makes people skeptical of the neutrality of the judicial system, and it makes those who say that some politicians like Zuma were targeted seem to be making a credible argument. Because how do you explain this long duration of time? How do you explain these prosecutorial decisions which sometimes seem as if people are being treated differently based on who they are? I'll leave that up to you to interpret. I also think that there's an issue with the media and how they ignore hot topics and only come with those topics with intensity, zeal, and enthusiasm when a particular person has lost favor or when it pushes a particular agenda. Let me give you an example. The role of Minister Thembisi Melane in VBS was not profiled early on. The focus was on EFF. It got to the point where the EFF were being called VBS looters, even though Limpopo as a province was being governed by the ANC and the municipalities were all being run by the ANC. And it's those municipalities which deposited money into VBS, and some of those people got favors and benefits from the fact that their mayors deposited money, etc., etc. We should have heard about all of the Thembisi Melane stories at the point at which we started hearing about the VBS scandal. But we didn't. We only started hearing about her files, so to speak, last year, when it seemed as if she was fighting with people around what should happen with the Zondo Commission documents, evidence, and bundles, all of that. So when I saw that, I was like, why was the media not enthusiastic to tell me this whole time, right? Now we are hearing about this 2009 tender from the media, and it's being covered across the board. But that makes me wonder, why was the media so silent? The point at which the media could have at least jumped onto this case with energy was in 2020 when Judge Mala said what he said. But the media just mised this topic, and mised, for those of you who don't speak millennial, means that they just looked over it. Yeah, millennial is a language now, but there's also now like, what is this new generation called? I can't even remember what they're called. Yeah, so every generation has this language. But they mised the issue in 2020. They mised it in 2022. Two judgments that came out, which really were tracing back, saying this now very high-profile figure seems to have something to explain and account for. But in fact, perhaps the media should even have been telling us from 2009 when the Auditor General wrote what the Auditor General wrote. But, I try to stay abreast with everything. But Africa is a big continent. South Africa is a big country. There are a lot of municipalities. In fact, there are 257. You're not always going to be able to pick up everything that the Auditor General said, link it with the person, look at particular individuals. Where do they sit in political parties? Did they emerge or did they not emerge? I missed some elements of the story. And I think if the media had put it more in my face, I would have known about it and you would have known about it. So now it seems like it's a new story in 2025 when a lot of the documentation around this scandal has been at least in the Auditor General report from 2008, and something that at least could have been covered from 2020 or at least covered in a high-profile manner from 2022. The point I'm making is that the media, I don't think, came correct to this particular issue. My final contribution for your consideration is the following. I think that Minister Ntshavheni has lost favor somewhere. I do not think that the president necessarily would be happy about the Stilfontein mining issue for a variety of reasons. Firstly, I think that the smoke them out comments that were made by the minister that I played for you earlier were a public relations nightmare. Secondly, I think that the way that things played out has created a bigger headache for the presidency, the president, and even cabinet ministers. Millions have been paid and spent on a rescue operation ordered by the courts. Lives have been lost, and there will probably have to be a commission of inquiry into the loss of those lives And the lives that have been lost thus far are double the lives that were lost in Marikana. The president, I would reasonably assume, would not want to be associated in any way in terms of his legacy, because he's thinking about his legacy now. His term of office is going to end soon. So he's thinking about his legacy, and I don't think he wants to be associated in any way with another mining scandal, which involved the loss of lives and careless words from government officials. Because already the criticism towards him when it pertained to the Marikana massacre is that he said that there should be concomitant action taken. And then Ria Piera, who was, I think, the commissioner of police at the time, was overzealous in how the police responded to the miners, and that led to the loss of the miners' lives. So I don't think he wants to be associated with this. And because Minister Ntshavheni is so close to him, she's within the presidency, she's somebody who was one of the big campaigners for him within the ANC going into 2017. I think maybe he doesn't have appetite for this fight. I don't know. I don't know what's happening in the presidency. I don't know those people like that. I'm just giving you what it looks like from where I'm sitting. What do you think, though? Let's have a conversation. Do you think that the minister will step down? Do you think that the DA will get what it wants in this case? There's a second minister just in a year who's been implicated, also from Limpopo. What's happening in Limpopo? Are we not hearing enough about the corruption stories? Why do we only hear these things when people are ministers? Or when money is stolen from sofas? Let's have a conversation, guys. Till the next one. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.